Hey everyone, Dominic here with the Raving Hordes Game Club in Saskatoon. This time we've got Plains War 2019 game number 4. So this is the start of day 2. I'm not doing great, but I'm not doing awful after the first day. I lost the first round 19-1. Second round was a minor loss with a 13-7. And the third round was a 10-10 draw. So, as we go into round 4, my opponent is Infernal Dwarves. The game type we played was Refused Flank with Spoils of War as the secondary objective. Here's a quick look at the deployment for the Infernal Dwarves, and if I get these names wrong, I apologize. We have a unit of Hobgoblins up here. I believe that's the Titan Mortar. I believe he's got some Citadel Guard, I think they are. He's got his Wizard Master in here with a BSB on the opposite side. He's got another War Machine. I can't remember what this one was. I think it was a cannon of some sorts. Next to there, he's got his Taruk Anointed. He's got the Steam Engine, I want to say it's called. He's got his General on a Great Bull. And he's got another unit of Hobgoblins to finish it off. For the Vampires, we've got a unit of Barrow Knights, Dark Coach, Barrow Guard with Barrow King BSB in there. Up front, we have a unit of Skeleton Spears with a Banshee on one side and the Vampire General on the other. Behind that, we have a unit of Sword and Board Skeletons with the two Necromancers kitty corner from each other. A unit of Halberdier Skeletons, Great Bats, and finally Wraiths. Yes, there's a quick look. You can very barely see the tokens actually. So there's the 1, 2, and 3 on this side, and Infernal Dwarves are going to take turn 1. So here we go. So he kind of moves up a little bit, is moving the one set of Hobgoblins to claim the objective on the far side. Puts the Citadel Guard inside the woods there. And he slowly is moving up the center, and he's moving that Great Bull along the around the flank there. Goes ahead and does magic. He tries to do the big spell there where every unit within 24 inches takes damage, which I stop. And then he did a small, which one it was, just the small magic missile. I think it was just D6 at these guys. Roll really low and didn't cause any wounds. He does the embers on the bats and knocks off 3 wounds from that. He goes into shooting, and his mortar misfires and can't fire for the rest of the game, which is unfortunate. And that's pretty much it as we go into turn 1 for Vampire Covenant. So the Wraiths are kind of moving up here, as well as the center line is very slowly shimmying. On the far side over here, I didn't take a picture of it, but the Knights and the Coach, the Knights march onto the objective and they're sitting on it for next turn, but they're also hidden behind the hill. I'm just trying to do a little bit of zoning here with the Chariot, waiting for his charges to come in. We go into magic. We get the Rot Within off on, I forget who it was I was trying to do it on. I believe it was on the Taruks. And that stopped. And then I raise up some skeletons. This is before I put the actual models out. And that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 2 for the Infernal Dwarves. He didn't have too terribly much for moving. About all he did is he moved up the Hobgoblins here onto this objective, moves up the Taruks to mid-center-ish kind of thing. The steam engine moves up over here, as does the general on his great bull. He moves up to just on the hill, and he's actually kind of facing off in this kind of arc direction kind of thing. Goes into magic. He goes ahead and knocks off a bunch of guys. He does the one where each model in the unit suffers a strength 3 hit, and kills off a pile of skeletons out of this spear unit with the general. He does shooting, and the steam engine does its shot and does 3 wounds against the Dark Coach. That's kind of what the table looks like, though, as we go into turn 2 for Vampire Covenant. So start of the turn, the Wraiths decided that they are just going to move through, cause a bunch of wounds to these guys. These guys fly through out of arc of those goblins, and we're going to go tie down this other war machine. I wasn't sure about this charge, but with it being so wounded, I figured I'd maybe go into his general and see if I can maybe put on some early wounds onto that guy. I wasn't confident with getting him here, and going behind the hill, he can still see me and then go up and shoot. So I go for the flank charge, makes it in. Over here, we do, I think, 9 wounds out of the 10 sweeps. And we go into magic. So for magic, we do the ride spell again. We're just trying to keep my numbers up to full strength. We do Mark for Doom on the steam engine. We cause, I think, 2 wounds with that one. And then we also tried to do some arises on the Dark Coach, which he stopped. We go into combat, and because of the arises not going off, his general tears through the Dark Coach, and he saved all the wounds that I did, unfortunately. So it allowed him to pivot a little bit on the spot to get into better arc of the charge down a hill into my my Barrow Knights now on the other side, who claim the objective in my turn. So that's what the table looks like as we're going into turn 3 for Infernal Dwarves. So the Turuks go into the Barrow Guard, and his general on the Great Bull goes into the Barrow Knights. Couldn't really stand there without falling over, but he's in there. He goes into magic phase, and I can't remember what he did. I actually think it was rather ineffective. I see that he knocked off a single wound on those wraiths, though. That's just how unfortunate his magic phase was. He goes into shooting. I think he does another wound to the bats here with some hobgoblin shots. They also, on his turn, he did pick up the objective here. Goes into combat. He wipes out the Barrow Knights and pivots on the spot 90 degrees to face the Barrow Guard combat. We go into that one. He does a decent amount of damage to me. I do next to nothing back to him, which was rather unfortunate. But we hold. And that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 3 for Vampire Covenant. So the start of the turn, both the spear block and the halberdier block to clear that charge into the flank, they both make it. I was only wanting to do just the spears, but the halberdiers were kind of in the way, so they had to go in as well. Over here, we charge the flank, and it looks like I maybe missed some pictures here. We charge the flank of those Citadel Guard, and the Great Bats charge the War Machine back there. We go into magic phase. We raise some wounds. And that's pretty much it for magic, actually. We go into combat. Over here, I direct a bunch of attacks against his wizard and kill his wizard. They run, which was really surprising. And I just barely failed to catch them. We're just an inch beyond. This combat with the bats, he did a wound to me, I did a wound to him, and he's good. And over here, as you can see, he does some wounds to me. He did a wound to the BSB as well. I tried to challenge out the general, but the BSB just took it, and I whiff pretty hard, actually. So he did have to take a break check just because of all the static combat res, but he's okay. And that's kind of what the table looks like as we go into turn 4 for the Infernal Dwarves. So start of his turn, he tries to declare this charge from the Hobgoblins into the flank of this Halberdiers, and he declares the charge over here into the flank of the Barrow Guard. Both those charges fail, and that's pretty much it for that. I believe it was this turn. He actually forgot completely to move his steam engine. Actually, I think it was last time. Yeah, moving on into the rally. These guys rally. His other Hobgoblin unit on the flank is just kind of moving around, taking some pot shots. Yeah, he did remember to move his steam engine this turn. It was last turn he actually forgot to move it entirely. And that's pretty much it. He lost his wizard, so there's no magic. His shooting is tied down, so we go right into, well, his shooting is pretty much tied down. He's got some shots, but nothing really did anything, I don't think. We go into combat. Over here, he wins by 1. I lose another wound on the bats. And over here, we break the trucks. The Barrow Guard and the General with the spears decide both to chase. The Halberdiers test to restrain, and they restrain like so. And the Turks get run down, as well as the Barrow Guard go right into his General, which I'm not certain I'm too keen about, but we'll see how it goes. So we go into turn 5, I believe now. Sorry. Turn 4 for Vampire Covenant. So for Vampire Covenant, the Halberdiers declare a charge against the flank of the Citadel Guard, who elect to flee. That was it for charges. Over here, I just move up the General to get within march range of the Wraiths, and they just step through the engine, as does the Banshee. And with all of that together, we managed to put the last couple wounds on the engine. We go into magic phase. We do the Arise spell over here, and we get the wound back on my BSB. So I'm feeling like he's going to get challenged out there. We do the Arise again, just to get in some more wounds in, I think it was actually just this unit I was targeting here with these Arises. And then we do Breath of Corruption on here, which goes off as well. We go into shooting with the Breath of Corruption and the Banshee shots. We only actually kill off the back rank, but that's enough for a panic test, and they panic. So they're now running away a little bit. We go into combat. Over here, I issue a challenge with my unit champ. Squishes that guy. He has to test, but he's good. And over here, he wins by 1 again, and I'm slowly losing the guys, and I'm outside, far too distant to get some help there for support. But at least he can't shoot. So that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 5 for Infernal Dwarves. So he's got these guys are just slowly moving up. The Citadel Guard rally, as do the Hobgoblins. I believe they both all rally. And he's got no shooting, so no magic. We go right into combat. We fight this out. And I believe he actually puts 2 wounds onto my BSB. This time challenges my BSB accepts, just because he is wounded, but I think we had done 2 wounds to this guy before somehow, but I don't remember. I think that might have been from the Dark Coach. Maybe he did get some of the wounds through, but either way, we've managed to do at least 2 wounds to him at this point. So I do accept that challenge with my BSB. And he didn't kill me. he kind of whiffed his attacks, and he did have to take a break test at the end, but he passes. That's what the table looks like as we go into Vampire Covenant turn 5. So over here, the Banshee declares a charge against the Hobgoblins, who fail their terror and run away. We decide not to declare any other charges, and the Banshee manages to run them down. Over here, the Wraiths have got movement. They're going to go do some more damage to the Citadel Guard up there, and I think they knock it down to just the BSB, Banner, and a unit champion. My other 2 skeleton bricks on this turn, these guys aren't on top of the objective this turn, so they pick up one of the objectives here. And that's pretty much it for moving. The skeleton block with the necromancers, they get closer within range of the barrow guard, just to make sure I can maybe get some arises there. As well as the extra bonus from being within 12 inches. We go into magic. We heal the BSB's wounds back. And that's pretty much it for magic, actually. I kind of dedicated my dice to doing that, making sure he sticks around. And we go into combat. I guess we fight this combat. He whiffs again. I think this time he did 2 wounds to me again, but I think he's down to 2 wounds remaining, I think, by this time. Maybe put 1 or 2 more wounds back on him. Either way, I'm slowly chipping away at him. He's chipping away at me. And we go to turn 6 for the Infernal Dwarves. So his BSB leaves the unit and just kind of hangs out there. One other thing to note, in my turn, when I did capture these guys, I did make that attempt to face, but of course Leadership 5 is awful and I fail. So I'm facing the wrong direction to help out in any kind of a meaningful way. Yeah, we go into... That's pretty much it for his. Again, these Hobgoblins are moving up. They do take shots in his combat on turn 6. He finally manages to get rid of the Bat Swarm that he was been fighting. And we go over here, and I believe this turn he's all good to go. He may have taken another wound, and I think he put another wound back onto me as well. He tests, he's good, and we're still fighting this one out, which I'm actually surprised at how much the guy is tanking him right now. So that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 6 for Vampire Covenant. So at the start of this turn, the Wraiths declare that charge against the 2 remaining Citadel Guard. I want to make sure I get full points for that. And the General, who's in this unit, declares the charge against his BSB. He measures the distance. I think it was about a 9 to the table edge. So he decides to flee, and he rolls a 10. Goes off the table. I test to redirect my charge over into this War Machine over here, which passes, and they both make those charges. This one here was a little bit weird because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I actually wanted to try and get this one here. What I decided to do is go over here and then face this way at the end instead of straight forward, just so that I'm within arc of that War Machine that until this point I had completely forgotten was actually there, seeing as it wasn't on its base. So going to try and maybe do some lucky wounds to it, but it won't really matter too much. We go into magic. We heal the wounds back on the BSB, and that's all we managed to do. And we go into combat. The General wipes out the War Machine, overruns into the next one, and the Citadel Guard get run down, chopped apart really by the 2 Wraiths. Over here, he puts 3 wounds on my BSB this time, which unfortunately didn't kill him. And I swing back and I put the last 2 remaining wounds, or 1 remaining wound, whichever it was, on his General to pick up those last turn 6 points. But other than that, I mean, that's where the game ended. We both had one of the objective markers at the end there, So secondary was a tie, and we did the points. I end up winning with a 16-4. So pretty good game, pretty fun game. I feel like I maybe got a little bit lucky there on a few of those things, not having to face a few of the nastier Infernal Dwarf things that they can bring to the table, but fun game nonetheless. So looking pretty decent after that one as we go into the final round of Plains War 2019. Hope you guys enjoy the battle and stay tuned for the next one.